Welcome to In Good Company. In today's program, a conversation between artist Tay Butler and Jeremy Johnson.
Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to In Good Company, a series of conversations between artists. My name is Jeremy Johnson. I'm here with my friend, multidisciplinary artist, community member, Tay Butler. Uh, we connected some years ago, some good conversation over coffee, and then have had the pleasure of working with you um, on exhibitions, on just thinking, really.
It has been a minute,
It
huh?
has. But yeah, so I think over the next hour, um, we're just gonna chop it up.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna get into the work. We're gonna get into the artwork, community work, um, and
Appreciate you choosing me, man. Coulda chose
yeah,
anybody,
nah, it's always good to talk with you.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, just want to talk to you today, about how you became an artist, or yeah, what led you down this path that you're on right now. And so I think right now it feels like you're most known for collage, um, and connection with that, basketball. But then you also make collage work about so many other things, or you're pulling from so many other references. You also paint. Um, you also have done installations, murals, and then you know you doing performance too now.
Yeah,
So
dabbled a little bit in that.
yeah, I think what I where I'm drawn to your work, I remember when I was like, I really need to get to know what this dude was thinking about. And that was when I saw, I think it was on the gram, it was on Instagram. I saw hyperinvisibility. I saw one of hyperinvisibility pieces from the series. And there was something about that. I think it was the colors,
Mhm,
the time period
mhm.
of the NBA that I was like, oh, I forgot about this. This is a part of me that I almost let die as
Right.
I moved more toward literature and art. And then it was more than that though. The piece itself, uh, it was something that I could look at and say, like, this guy is taking basketball as the subject, but that's not the message. It's not just like, hey, I love basketball.
Mhm.
So the way that, parts of the players' bodies are removed, I can't tell who's who. I can maybe make out some teams, some logos.
Right.
Um, but then it draws my eye to the spectator, the spectacle. And so for me, that was like, yo, okay, I need to know more about what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think, just to go back to how I started making, it was really me just following whatever energy I was having. That's kinda how I've led my life up to this point. It may seem like Imma do one thing and then I'll kinda divert and do something else. So, I had a regular, very mundane and uneventful childhood
Mm,
and middle school and high school in Milwaukee was pretty regular. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't in the streets, but, I wasn't accomplished. I wasn't like a great student.
yeah, I
Um
mean, me neither. So,
Yeah, I just existed, and everybody played basketball, so that's what I did. I played basketball in high school. I was good enough to be all conference, and I was this close from accepting a opportunity to play in a Division III school in Minnesota.
mm,
Um, but for reasons I'll never understand, I chose military.
yeah,
Chose to go to the Army instead, and spent a long time
mm,
wearing a uniform. Um, but I've always been a creative. I've always put collages on my wall. I've
Yeah.
always drawn, like, while everybody else was outside, I was drawing pictures on my grandmother's kitchen table,
Yeah.
right? So, but the pictures I was drawing was Michael Jordan,
Mhm.
Shawn Kemp,
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway. So, I was a creative, but I was also confined by what I saw around me. So, um, fast forward as I become an artist, and there's a whole lot that happens in between that. Um, I'm thinking about telling stories. I'm thinking
Mhm.
about trying to understand not just my community and people around me, but myself as well. Why are we so enamored and fascinated with this game?
Yeah, I will say that for me, the other part of this is that seeing this work and then hearing you talk about it over the last few years that I've known you has also, yeah, it's given me a framework and even just language to talk about what happened to me, with my boyhood and growing up into a man that I don't know, hadn't really thought about it. I kind of like pushed it aside, like, okay, I loved basketball, I played it. And I honestly, I stopped watching even before the pandemic. It was like maybe 2011 when I
Mhm.
stopped watching regularly. But you brought this back to me of just like, you know what? This is still part of me. Um, so I appreciate that. Appreciate you
It's
for that.
Yeah, it's taken for granted. It's just kind of the environment.
Mm,
Um, and in the way you realize how things become things,
yeah.
you know?
I'm gonna go back for a second because you said something that I don't know about. You said like there was like a mundanity, that your childhood was mundane. But yeah, I don't know. Cause okay, like I'm from Houston
Mhm.
but you like grew up in Milwaukee.
Right.
We know, people often say like black is not a monolith, blackness is not a monolith. But what really follows that is like the regional specificity of blackness. And
Right.
then even down to the neighborhood. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit just about like what you think, I don't know, Milwaukee was for you. Um, maybe the Midwest in general, more broadly.
Yeah, I think mundane as an identifier is more that as a general idea, I think everything that a lot of us do, young black men, is about visibility
Mhm.
and being seen and being even the title of that work, hyper invisibility, right?
Yeah.
So when I say mundane, I would say I wasn't seen. I
Mhm.
was I was not totally invisible, but not visible in a way that we aspire to be,
Yeah.
right? So you use a different number of things to become visible,
Mm.
whether it's hip hop, rapping,
Mhm.
you might DJ, you might play basketball, play a sport,
Mm.
right? Um, you may choose the streets, you may choose the hustle or do different things like that. But the goal is to not become invisible,
Mm.
right? Um, Milwaukee is an invisible city.
Mm.
Um, I remember being in the military and people would say, "Is black people live in Milwaukee?" Like they didn't know.
I mean, that was my first thought, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
like people don't know. But what people don't know is that Milwaukee had a nickname in the '60s. That was Selma of the North.
mm.
What that meant was there was a lot of activist energy in Milwaukee. There was the 200 Days of Marching with Father Grappi. There was the NAACP commandos. All of these instances of um, resisting the
Mm.
status quo and oppression and racist hierarchy building, right?
Mhm.
Um, but as a city, Milwaukee will always be like a little cousin to Chicago,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Even my dad, he moved to Milwaukee from Chicago, uh, give or take because of the welfare benefits being a little better in Wisconsin than they were in Chicago. So, his move and how a lot of people get to Milwaukee is because they wanted somewhere with less visibility
Mm.
than Chicago. right?
Mhm.
Um,
Does that make it easier to get what you want,
Makes it
maneuver?
easier as far as like, like I say, welfare benefits,
Yeah.
right? Jobs.
Mhm.
There's not 2.3 million people trying to get a job.
Right.
Milwaukee's population at its peak, 800,000,
Mm.
870,000.
Yes.
Today it's probably six something, right? So you don't have to deal with as much competition. You don't have to struggle. The gangs aren't as bad. They're the same gangs, but they're smaller.
Yeah.
Um,
Talking about this striving for visibility, and for yourself, I know we've talked before about it coming through in fashion. Also, of course, the basketball because of the social currency that comes with it.
right.
Uh, but then, like, there's also hip hop. Hip hop is formative for so many of us. It's right there, like from the time you start listening. Um, so yeah, what was that like? Like, who were your first sort of influences or things that just grabbed you?
I think, well, I named my son Nas, so
Right.
that's an obvious indicator of who I was listening to, who meant the most to me. I appreciated his tone and the laid backness. I'm a very laid back person, right?
Yeah, we know.
I appreciated that. I appreciated the vivid imagery.
You want to listen to it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's hear some.
let's go back because it's been a minute.
Whose world is this? The world is yours. The world is yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? The world is yours. The world is yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. I sip the Don Pete, watching Gandhi till I'm charged and writing in my book of rhymes. All the words past the margin. The whole of mic I'm throbbing. Mechanical movement, understandable smooth shit that murderers move with.
Mm,
And that song in itself is about visibility,
yeah,
right? The
for
world is
sure.
yours. Like you may interpret that as possession
Mm-mm.
and trying to have the world, but I always interpret it as I want the world to see me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, everything we do is based in that. How we dress, putting rims on your car and your paint job and the
Hmm.
jewelry, getting haircuts every Friday. Like this is all about visibility.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
I mean, yeah, not only were you listening though, you also, you started rapping too.
visibility.
Yeah.
Visibility, right? Like everybody, where I'm from, everybody at some point played basketball, tried out for the team. Either they made it or they didn't.
Hmm.
So they just either play in the hood or they teach their son how to play, right?
Hmm.
And then everybody at some point releases a mixtape. Everybody at some point puts some music out,
Hmm.
goes in the studio, writes a rap, records that rap.
Right.
Um, I never had an interest in being a rapper,
Mm.
right? Like the elements of rap disgust me. I hate the idea of standing on the stage and performing. I hate fame. I don't want to do like promo tours
Mm.
and shoot videos. All that stuff to me was annoying.
Yeah.
The idea of listening to music, writing something to that music, and then performing what I wrote, like that's the part that I like. So I would
Yeah,
do that a lot. Like
for
I've
sure.
made a lot of music, excuse me, and I never release it. I never put it out.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I had to, man, I was scouring the internet trying to find what you was putting out there. And I
yeah, it don't
found,
exist.
yeah, I did find this album, Mayor, and on there was this song, I think it was Joy and Pain.
Mhm.
Um, and on that one, yeah, it's like you're wrestling with the world, your newfound, I don't know how new fatherhood was for you, but you're putting that on wax. Like you're putting that in there. You're not trying to pretend like something else is happening. Like you talking about your life.
Mhm.
And
Mayor
that
was 2010,
mhm.
2009, 2010.
And then I remember I think it was a while ago, maybe a year or two, like you sent me this song, Night Catches Us. Yeah, you wanna hear that one?
Yeah, I ain't heard in a while. Let's
Yeah.
hear it.
Hey yo, I tell you the rest when I see you. Peace. Finally got my mass appeal in my mailbox. Mixing ice cold strongbow with the rail shots. I smell crop, hit the porch to investigate. No shirt on, yellow silkies and shell tops. Could be my mind playing tricks on me. Then again, I'm down the street from the nail spot. And niggas always got the block on loud. And when there's drama, that's the first place the cops go now. Last night, me and Dom was outside with the wax. A nigga must have pulled up on the block with them racks. Cause 3 or 4 niggas ran out with them axe. 47, we just went in the house. Don't remember hearing shots, but I seen on Twitter a bunch of rest in peace tweets for Mo Cheddar. I ain't know him, but I still kind of felt like I lost a friend. Another young black lost again. Damn. Thicker thigh. Thicker the thigh. Hey yo, I tell you the rest when I see you.
So I used to get my hair cut by a cat that I went to middle school with, named Crispy D. Shout out to Crispy
All
D.
right.
And you know, he was known in the city, and so a lot of, you know, the barbershop was just a place people hung out and came to and kicked it. And so, you know, there's people that you don't know personally, but you see at the barbershop all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so young street guy named Mo Cheddar used to come in there and get haircuts. He'll drop 100 and skip everybody, and that's kind of what he was known for, right?
Yeah.
That's called dropping. When you skip somebody by paying for it, that's called a drop.
Yeah.
So
Seems like some fights could start that way.
it was
You just accept it.
hyper capitalism that you just accepted, because you don't never want to give up your barber. Like once you find a barber, you just don't want to get it up.
Yeah.
So, but he ended up getting killed one day. And so the day that I recorded that song was the day I found out that he got killed. And again, I didn't know him.
Right.
But just the idea that you can see somebody on Friday and then by Sunday they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, so I that's the type of stuff that I would make music about. And so again, a rapper, especially in that time, a rapper was expected to create self-mythology, right? Posture and make yourself this, I get money, I get women, I get, you know, I'm tough, but I never rapped in that way.
So I would say, like, even Nas, I mean, you know, he had that street reporter side, but he also had that self-mythologizing for sure.
Yeah, and that was, I think that's what interested me in Nas, was that it was a balance.
Yeah.
So at that time, you had to have that self-mythology. But he also was self-deprecating at the same time. He was willing to talk about things that weren't so
I mean,
mythological.
It's also part of this Black tradition too. I mean, it goes, you can go back to the blues man.
Right.
You know, it's always been there. For sure. But then
Right.
you also, there's a sample, of course, Common right there, that you use as the refrain to enter in. So that's another what people have deemed a conscious rapper, even though he has tried to refuse the label. Because I mean, what is that anyway?
Yeah, I think he's a good example of how artists change. So the Common that I connect to, the Common that I'm a fan of, made songs for Asada Shakur, right? The Common that I'm interested in, he was a groundbreaker and going beyond the barriers of what a rapper is supposed to talk about and think about.
Yeah. So, so we've been talking about basketball. We talk about like hip hop and how your involvement with those things. But then there's also a point where you would join the military that we have not. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. And then you have this quote that I found. And can I read that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, in Iraq, music and pictures were all I had to get me through. Phone conversations were okay, but didn't provide the relief I needed because a lot of times people would burden me with their problems or ask for money. But with pictures and music, I could get to a space in my mind. And this was supposed to be my last album. Which album were you talking about? The
That might have been a Mayer album.
Mayer album.
Yeah.
But then I got word I was headed overseas again, this time to Kosovo. So I can't go out this way. I need more time to craft my signature album, my swan song. I mean, you didn't stop rapping, but you did. You were deployed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if I could tell the story of how I even got in the military.
Yeah.
So I'm at Deneen Park, north side of Milwaukee again. I'm outside, we hooping. We would hoop on either Saturday or Sunday afternoon, I can't remember. So I'm outside playing basketball and you know, the runs are pretty good. So there's a guy there, he has like an Army t-shirt on.
Is
So
he playing?
He's
or?
playing with us.
Okay.
Now he's okay, he's not that good, but it doesn't look weird. Like,
Right.
you know, there's always somebody that's kind of
Yeah.
different, right? So the first time I seen him, he didn't say anything to me. The second time I seen him, you know, he didn't say anything to me. The third time, he asked me where I was playing at. You know, like, are you
Like
going to
to school.
college?
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, I probably made up some lie about I might go here, might go there. But really, I was like, not really. And he was like, you know, have you ever considered, you know, military?
Mm.
And I'm like, no, you know. So this was a much different time. This is like 96, 97. At this time, you could get into a car with a stranger and it don't be nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Today is maybe a little
I
crazy,
wouldn't try
right?
it.
Unless it's Uber or Lyft. But he was like, hey man, let me take a ride with me. So I get in the car with him. Go to his house. He showed me he got a nice size house. He got a big TV. He got a big truck. He like, hey man, I got all this from the military. So just think about it. Got my number and he didn't harass me. He just would check in every now and then. I was like, hey, you know, no pressure, but you know, I'll bring you down to the, you know, station, maps, whatever it was, and we can, you know, take a look, see what you see. And so I went down there and, you know, they threw the lasso around,
Man.
showed me a couple dollars.
When you telling me about this, it's reminding me of those stories you hear about the dope boys going to get the young kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like there's a reason why they call it the poverty draft, right? So, and we weren't like in abject poverty. We was poor. I didn't have a car. My mother didn't have a car all throughout high school. You know, I didn't have the clothes and the shoes and the things that other people had. So to see it on somebody and see a different way and to be told I can get it just by signing this piece of paper. I was open-minded enough to where I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So I think I did some research, but some research was like at the most asking my uncle because he was in the military.
Okay.
And I remember him being like proud of me in a weird way. Not proud, but he was like, oh, you got a head on your shoulders.
He was surprised.
He was surprised.
Yeah.
He was like, I didn't see that in you. I thought you was, you know, I thought you was the lover boy with the girls and playing basketball.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm surprised by that. So you got a head on your shoulder. Him saying that kind of I guess, influenced me that I
Yeah.
must be doing something worthwhile. So I made a sharp left turn and enlisted.
Wow. So 2 deployments to Iraq.
1 to Kuwait, 2 to Iraq.
So Kuwait was in the 90s.
Kuwait was in 99.
Yeah, right on the
Yeah,
head.
99, 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it because the Bucks almost made it to the finals that year.
So those deployments, you know, Kuwait, Iraq twice, and then you talked about Kosovo, going to
Mhm.
Kosovo. How long were you home before you went to Kosovo?
Typically, I wouldn't be home longer than 2 years.
Okay.
And then next thing you know, another mission is popping up,
Yeah.
you know?
It seems like this whole time though, like you still you. So there's still, you know, hip hop, family, basketball. So even in Kosovo, like you playing basketball.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I did find this video
How you
of
find
you.
that? You
Right.
like Nardwuar.
Right. I was,
You like the black Nardwuar.
yeah, I was just typing, I was just searching. Yeah, of you playing in Kosovo and
Mm.
you speaking about propaganda.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's watch that.
Yeah. Let's see how many buckets I put up.
Kosovo Force 15 Staff Sergeant Tay Butler says he thinks everyone has a lot of respect for Kosovo basketball.
Hopefully we gave them a good game as far as what they consider competition. But I think everybody here got a lot of respect for Kosovo and how they play ball out here.
Sergeant Butler also said the European basketball level of competition was a real eye-opener and made him feel like he was playing basketball back at home.
I could see the Iverson in your game,
Yeah, man.
but then it looked like you had a nice pull-up.
That was my Monte Ellis era.
Monte Ellis.
I don't know if you remember Monte
Yeah,
Ellis.
of course.
I only say that because Monte Ellis didn't have a left hand either. So, you know, I'm gonna get to my spot. I'm gonna hit that mid range and fall back on defense.
But the other thing that I was thinking about when I was watching that video is that, you know, it's a piece of propaganda.
Mhm.
They're talking to you, they're interviewing you, yes, because your game is nice, but also staff sergeant, and you knew how to speak. You knew, like, even if consciously or not, you knew what not to say about your
Mhm.
experience. How do you feel
Well,
about that now?
I think that when you're in the military, you're making a conscious decision to ignore the contradictions, right? So, and even in just civilian life,
Yeah.
all of us are constantly deciding whether or not to acknowledge contradiction. So, while you're in the military, you overseas, you seeing poverty, you seeing destruction, you seeing people's neighborhoods being occupied, and you're convincing yourself that you're doing the right thing. You're doing a service. You're doing a public good. Because we are fed that you know, that propaganda about terrorism and capitalism being the most efficient and you know, quality of living building system. We've even been fed propaganda about women's rights as it pertains to Arab nations, things of that nature. And I'm definitely not here to say that everything is good, right? But again, you suppress those contradictions and you say, hey, I'm doing a service. I'm defending democracy, freedom, or whatever you've believed. And then you start to research.
Yeah.
And then you start to resist the seduction
Mm-hmm.
and start to look into the history and why am I over here?
Yeah.
Why are we in Kosovo?
Yeah.
Why are we in Iraq? Right?
A lot of people don't do that.
Most people don't do that.
Yeah.
Even after they get out.
Right.
So while you're there, you certainly not doing it,
Mm.
right? You don't even have access
Right.
to those texts. And again, in that time period, there is no radical YouTube
Yeah.
videos.
Nah.
There is no, text for me to really dig into. There's what I know
Mm.
and there's what I've been told,
Mm.
right? So, I believe that I'm doing at least a service to somebody until, you learn otherwise. You learn that Kosovo is not necessarily to protect Albanian people and get those terrorists out of that area. What it really was to, you know, neutralize the last socialist state in Europe,
Mhm.
right? You think about Iraq, where are those weapons of mass destruction,
Yeah. I've
right?
not seen those.
So when you find out decades later that it really was, um, as the conspiracist theories
Mm.
mention, oil based, Israel based,
Mhm.
um, things of that nature, a rage
Mhm.
starts to burn. You start to realize that we playing with people's lives and families are being torn apart by, men and women leaving and
Mhm.
not never coming back
Mm.
under the idea that we're defending something that we're not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so how did it feel, I guess, when you came back that last like, when were you, like, was that your last deployment?
Yeah, Kosovo was the
Yeah.
last trip. I come back in 2012 and it's like I'm a whole new person,
Yeah.
you know. Um, only because my open-mindedness.
Mm.
I'm not necessarily conscious yet.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a lot of the conscious radical political texts yet. But
Not
I
that.
am thinking like we ain't supposed to be,
Mhm.
right?
Do you remember I remember you talking to me about, Toni Morrison's novel, Sula.
Mhm.
Do you remember that experience of reading that novel and sort of what characters you resonated with or why that was? I mean, I know it's, yeah, why that novel was one that spoke to you.
It's this story about two girls, working into adulthood and womanhood, and Nell and Sula, and one is choosing a life of conformity, and the other has chosen a life of non-conformity.
Mhm.
And to me, again, it's another story about visibility,
Yeah.
right? Sula wanted to be visible in her way, and she was willing to risk ostracization from her community to do it.
Mhm.
Um, whereas, Nell wasn't, right?
Yeah. Um, why don't we hear from Toni herself?
Yeah. I always enjoy
I
hearing
mean,
her
she's a
talk.
great reader too.
Yeah.
Further along the road, Shadrach passed her by. A little shaggier, a little older, still energetically mad, he looked at the woman hurrying along the road with the sunset in her face. He stopped, trying to remember where he'd seen her before. The effort of recollection was too much for him, and he moved on. He had to haul some trash out at Sunnydale, and it would be good and dark before he got home. He hadn't sold fish in a long time now. The river had killed them all. No more silver gray flashes. No more flat, wide, unhurried look. No more slowing down of gills. No more tremor on the line. Shadrach and Nell moved in opposite directions, each thinking separate thoughts about the past. The distance between them increased as they both remembered gone things.
Her voice, man.
I know her voice. Um, I remember how much I struggled with Song of Solomon as like a
Mhm.
16-year-old.
Mhm.
Just on a sentence level, it was just, and the imagery, like I didn't know what was going on.
Mhm.
And I feel like whenever I pick up a book from Toni Morrison, either I'm gonna have to reread or I'm gonna just have to be on it, like just really paying attention
It's not a passive read.
at all.
The words are dancing and you got to dance with them.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I love about her. So yeah, you're reading, of course. Probably you've read Malcolm X, the autobiography.
Yeah, I've read it, but the first time I read it, it was just because you had to.
Yeah.
As a young Black man, you're supposed to.
That's one of those.
It's one of those rites of passage. It wasn't until I read it again in grad school that I understood it, or what I was supposed to take away from it.
Right.
I wasn't supposed to take away this whole thing of Black masculinity and manhood and standing up to the white man. I wasn't supposed to take that away.
Yeah.
That's an element, but I'm not supposed to take that away. What I'm supposed to take away is self-analysis, self-critique. There's no better example
and
of it.
The ability to change.
To change, not just change, but to change in the face of power and a change in the face of your own privilege.
Yeah.
So when Malcolm X decides that I'm going to challenge the authority of Elijah Muhammad, he's at the peak of his influence, of his powers, of his privilege. He can do whatever he wants. He can travel in luxury if he wanted to. But it wasn't about luxury. It was about integrity and authenticity and really being who he said he was for the people. And that's hard to do.
It is hard.
Most people can't even do that to their own mothers or fathers, let alone a cult leader who could have you killed. Right? There is no greater example of self-analysis, self-critique than Malcolm X. Problem is most people don't take that away.
Yeah.
You know, they're taking away, how did he have all this courage to stand up to white supremacy in that way? That is important. I don't want to understate that, but I don't think that's more important than self-analysis. Yeah.
It does seem like part of, that self-analysis is, understanding the conditions that have helped shape this self. And so, there's a speech. I mean, there's so many speeches that are recorded of Malcolm speaking. But in this one, he's talking about self-conception for Black people and where we get our ideas about ourselves from.
Right.
Who taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
So, I mean, while this speech is focused on the who, I think what strikes me is that, we see a lot of interviews of Malcolm or speeches like talking to white people. This one, he's talking to us. I don't know. And I think there's something there.
I mean, that's what, when I say self-critique, self-analysis, I'm not just talking the individual. I'm talking about outwardly, right? That's one of our biggest struggles as a community, is dealing with critique. Dealing with contradictions and struggling with those contradictions. Sophia Bukhari, right? The War Before, Can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I read it? I'm
Yeah,
gonna
what you
read
got?
it. So, you know, for those who don't know, Sophia Bakari is a former Black Panther. Her work, the majority of the work she's doing is in political prisoners, right? And of course she was a working Black Panther, the breakfast program and all of the other things, but her legacy, what she's most known for is fighting on the behalf of those in prison, political prisoners. But one of the pages she talks about contradiction and what's happening on the left and just people movements in general is an inability to struggle with that, right? So she says, I had to look into myself and recognize that I was again refusing to engage in constructive criticism. I was walking away and allowing a situation to continue without struggling to resolve contradictions. I asked myself, how can you talk about taking on the United States government when you're afraid to struggle with a few people right next to you? That is the biggest contradiction of them all. And so many of these movements that we find ourselves in, not only struggle but outright refuse to to address not only their contradictions but the contradictions of the movement, right? So she goes on to say it has to be open to criticism and self-criticism. In order to create this revolution, we must be willing to sublimate our egos for the good of the movement and suffer death of these egos by 1,000 cuts. So how do you suppress that ego? How do you put the people before your ego? How do you put the people before your comfort? How do you put the people before your privileges, right? Malcolm X did that,
He did.
right?
Yeah, it is hard to do both. It really is. And I think we all wrestle with those contradictions, and it seems like Malcolm was able to figure it out for himself. I mean, it made him a target. He left the nation.
The target by the state and
and
his own peers,
yeah,
right? So like him addressing the crowd and saying, what makes you hate yourself? What makes you hate your nose, your hair, the communities you come from? Why are your communities evacuation zones? Why aren't they places you want to improve or sustain? Why are they places you want to get out of, right? When you ask somebody that today, they're going to give you practical, pragmatic answers like, I want my kids to be safe. I want my stuff to be protected. I want to keep my property. I work hard for my car. I want to come outside and my car's still there. I get all of that. All that is valid. But again, how much are you willing to sacrifice, give up, accept less of to be what you claim to be, but also want other people to be? If nobody's willing to sacrifice, who's doing the sacrifice? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And I've heard you, talk before about that it's sacrifices that, affect the individual personally, but then also people around them, friends, family members. And you've talked a little bit about, your own relationship with your family, kids. I wonder how you feel about the balance for yourself.
What I'm doing in the community is who I am as a human being, the humans that I want around me to live better lives, which includes myself and my kids, right? So there's days that I feel a lot of anxiety. I feel a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of guilt that I'm literally taking food off of my kids' table. Had I stayed in Milwaukee at my boiler engineer job, I'd have 2 houses, 2 or 3 cars, a boat, motorcycle, all of the accoutrements of the middle class, right? I'd have great credit. I'd have, um, a man cave with a sound bar that goes around the
Yeah.
room. I'd have Milwaukee Bucks season tickets. I have all those things that at one point in time was the only thing I worked for.
Right.
Now I don't want any of those things. What I want today is a healthy book club and a community of brothers that's willing to struggle with text. What I want today is for my children to not have square feet, square inches in their bedroom. That's important. But it's more important for them to have um, a sense of self, who they are, where they come from. Not to drink the Kool-Aid in that their neighborhood is a place to evacuate. It's not.
Yeah, you showed me this documentary, the Black Panthers Cubs, which interviews both people who were part of the movement, but it primarily focuses on their children,
Right.
And their experience and their experience with that sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder if we could watch that.
Yeah, for sure.
I was very upset. Came out to my mother. I was not trying to come out to the entire country. And my mother said to me, I understand that, but it's not about you. Well, then who is it about? I am your child. But what my mother taught me through that and through many examples was that it's not only about you. It's about all those families who don't understand how to protect their children. You can't have it unless everybody has it.
Yeah, that piece was called When the Revolution Doesn't Come. And so it was speaking to her or them and Fred Hampton Jr. and all of these kids, Lane Brown's daughter and people who grew up in the movement, not just adjacent, but in the movement.
Right.
Like they didn't go to school. They went to Black Panther Cub school, right? And so that part there, just when I watched it, it really struck me because I think one of them days I might have been struggling with my own anxiety over, my choices and choosing art and choosing a community, living in a third ward, et cetera. But then I kind of remembered and understood why I'm wired the way I am. And my mentality is I guess, similar to her mother's, where it's like, you can't have it if everybody can't have it, right? And so one of our issues, one of the contradictions in the community is that we always want to come together when it's time to sell something.
Oh, yeah.
When it's time to have fun, when it's time to dance, when it's time to swag surf, when it's time to honor Beyonce. But we can't come together when it's time to have that conversation about resources and capitalism and again, sacrifice and giving to other people. So I don't want my kids to have it if it means that so many other people will not have it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I'm not idealistic in a way that I want everybody to be the exact same. I don't believe in hard lines or binaries in that way. I believe in like everything's a mix,
I mean, yeah, you're saying that also that your work in the community is, it's related, but it's a different function, a different calling than being an artist. But you are an artist.
Like you can't separate them.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we've had a few conversations. I mean, you gave me a list of movies that I need to watch. I watched a few of them. You remember Love Jones?
The best movie of all time.
The best movie of all time?
My favorite movie.
Okay,
of
all
all
right,
time.
all right.
My favorite movie.
That's
of all time.
fair.
I could watch it right now, and it'll be like I just seen it
Okay.
for the
Well,
second or third time.
yeah, let's see.
What, you trying to come in?
Yeah. I mean, no. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're not busy or doing anything.
Well, you can come in.
You sure?
Yeah.
I hope I'm not intruding. Nice little pad you got here.
I'm just house sitting.
Oh, photographer.
Yeah.
Dig that. It's nice.
Why are you here?
Said it was bad time. And I figured if I asked again, maybe you say yes. If not that time, then maybe the next time. Till the next time became the right time.
Ah. Persistence.
Be surprised how far it can get you. Sort of reminds me of stuff Gordon Parks was shooting for Life magazine.
Do you know a lot about photography?
A little some. I know that you have a great eye.
So you're just like a Renaissance black man. Poetry, music, photography.
I think it was somebody that said something about Mozart. The goal of an artist is to create the definitive work that cannot be surpassed. Guess you can say I kind of live like that.
Well, that was actually George Bernard Shaw. Now you're trying too hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that movie for like, obvious reasons, but like also think it is about how to exist as an artist with people. Lorenz Tate is this author and this writer, and he needs his time. He needs his time to isolate and segregate himself from the noise. And she's a photographer, so she needs her time to go canvas. You know what I'm saying? But they want each other to exist in the world, but they also want things the way that they want things.
Right.
And, love as a artist is a complicated space. So I watch that when I want to be, when I want to be optimistic.
Yeah.
You did.
I mean, ultimately, it is an optimistic movie.
Definitely.
For sure.
It's way different than the trauma porn that we see these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even love as the focus. It seems rare.
Without the big traumatic event.
You were talking about, like in the very beginning when we started talking, you was talking about, drawing, and then even your room having, these collage elements there. So it's like, and then, being not a rapper, but, laying some tracks down. So it's like this creativity has been just throughout your life. And it seems like, yeah, now it is a vocation, but it's also, a big part of what you're doing. And I wonder, just where did that conception of yourself that I could be an artist, I can do this.
I guess just beating a dead horse with visibility, right? We want to be the things we see, right? So growing up, I saw basketball players, I saw hustlers, I saw, players. For me to really know I could be an artist, I needed to see one, both, within proximity and out in the world,
Yeah.
right? So the first person's art that I saw that made me even consider being an artist was Romery Bearden. Um,
Makes sense.
and I don't necessarily know why, but I knew that I always had this collagic element. Even when I draw, it was never just a figure on a flat background. There was always a lot of elements in it. And then putting collages in murals on my wall.
Yeah.
Tearing stuff out of magazines and collaging it together. I knew I always wanted to have this tearing from many to create one. Because hip hop is that, right? Hip hop is sampling Roy Ayers and Megadeth. This is stuff that Dr. Dre was doing, right? This is stuff that Q-Tip was doing. This is stuff that Pete Rock was doing, sampling Miles Davis and John Coltrane, but then slapping it on a James Brown breakbeat, right? So in a lot of ways, being a child of hip hop influenced my art, right? So yeah, I think that was the seed. But then also other people like Saul Leiter. And then for me in Houston, it kind of began with Jamal Cyrus. He came to University of Houston. This was during undergrad. So this was towards the end. So 2018, I think we met. And he gave a presentation on his work. He showed some collage work with album covers. I'm like, that's stuff I would do. That's stuff I'm literally doing. Right?
Yeah.
He showed some, this work with the,
the papyrus,
papyrus,
the
laser cut, and taking these Houston Chronicle headlines and recontextualizing them for the contemporary moment. These are all things that I naturally do, just not even in an art sense, but this is how I think.
Right.
And very, very interested in, hip hop and jazz and how that works in the context of Black culture. And it's figurative, but it's also abstract. There's a little bit of installation. There's some sculpture, some found sculpture. So there's all these elements that really, really interested me. And so I say Jamal is where I said, all right, this is, I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah, I want to think about a little bit about like the physicality of making and being in the studio and what that feels like for you, how much energy you're expelling when you're cutting, you're, collaging, you're listening, you're walking around. And then you also, performance too. Like this is like embodied, like you know?
Right. Yeah, I think as a whole, I'm always doing a lot of deep diving. And that's the part that's physical.
Yeah.
Moving my body to these alternate spaces to look through these shelves and these racks for different books, testing my mind and my patience and my attention span to read these books, take notes, having these conversations, having my ideas challenged by my mentors and peers, going out in the world to see art, see other people's work, supporting my community, being outside, being in the world, seeing work. showing up, not in an opportunist way, but
Yeah.
like just really being there. And then lastly, the sourcing process, right? Sometimes I'm sourcing music, sometimes I'm
Yeah.
sourcing movies, sometimes I'm sourcing lectures, sometimes I'm sourcing magazines. Sometimes it's conversations, right? Opinions. And so once I go through that whole system, which could take anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months, then I lock myself in the studio and late night after late night after late night of just vomiting it back onto something, whether that's canvas, paper, wood, whatever. But all that prep work, I'm now, you know, regurgitating back
Yeah.
out for the world.
And then when you did a friendly game of basketball, like there's 2D work, but then it's also a complete installation, like thought through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder like what that was like to conceive of a, you know, a whole show that it, and then you activated with performance at one point too.
You know, a friendly game of basketball, you know, the title is a riff on a friendly game of baseball, right? This idea that baseball is this all-American sport. And my rejection and my riff of that is that basketball is as much an American sport as any other sport because it keeps the status quo in place. You have the black body, the other, performing at an extremely high level. You have the status quo owning and manipulating those performances, right? And in the process, you sell that scattered success to the many as hope, right? So now you have millions and millions of young Black people striving to become the next Kobe,
Yeah.
the next LeBron, the next Iverson.
I was one of those for about 2 months for sure.
Yeah, like, and it's not even conscious, it's subconscious. It's just you look around and what's visible to you is everybody playing basketball. So you dabble in it, right?
Yeah, I think the other thing is like the subtext for, I mean, this title and then indicative, like the other works that are in there. Like you take these moments in basketball that become paintings of players who, ran into censorship or blackball based on political stances that they took. These things usually kind of just fade off into history, but you wanted to bring them into vibrant, larger than life sort of colorful paintings.
Yeah, I was in the mood to put my hand back into the work, even though I believe collage, my hand is in that work, but I wanted to go back to my roots of drawing and you know, rendering a body. And so I was thinking in line with hyper invisibility, I was thinking about when an NBA player or when an athlete in general is allowed to be visible. They're allowed to be visible when they're playing very good basketball, when they're winning games, winning championships. They're really allowed to be visible when they're selling product.
Oh, yeah.
When they're endorsing other people's creations and products. Not so much when they become politically oriented.
Yeah.
When they become outspoken, when they become radical, right? And so the show was bringing a couple of those examples to front, right? Where there's George Hill saying, "Hey, we're not going to play in a bubble,
right?
Because of the Jacob Blake shooting that happened in Wisconsin." Or Kyrie saying, "Hey, we need to form our own league. You know, why are we selling our labor and our likeness to the NBA? Let's form our own league." And people called him crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
And don't get me wrong,
was-
there's a lot to critique with Kyrie, right? But him wearing the keffiyeh and being in solidarity with Palestine when most players wouldn't touch it, right? Then it's like, yeah, let's take his visibility away, right? Or going back to the 90s with Craig Hodges, who was way before his time, criticizing Bush and criticizing America in general as a war machine. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, the same thing. He's the first Colin Kaepernick, right? He did it before there was social media to broadcast it, right? These players become invisible because they've stepped out of that contained box.
Or they push them out too.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder, like, where is your hope? Where does your hope lie? Like, what are you hoping for? Like, as you look to the future for yourself, for your family, for the community.
An activist that I look up to says, you know, one mind at a time, one step at a time. So nobody should be trying to tear down capitalism right now. There's no such thing. What you can do is help one person uncover their own contradiction, right? That's a good starting point. If I can do that every day, in addition to my own contradictions, right? So, because I'm not in some elevated state of consciousness, of goodness, of radicalness. I contradict myself every day. I'll tell you to release yourself from the machine, and then I'll go shop on Amazon, right? So there's daily contradictions you got to undo. I'm out in the world preaching one thing, but I'm maybe being reactionary with my daughter or my son, right? I have to unpack that. I'm very supportive and I hope, a safe space for the women and non-binary people that's in my life, but also got to deal with my failures as a husband, as a a partner to a woman. So I got to undo my own contradictions. But as I'm doing that, I want to help at least one person see theirs,
Yeah, that's self-reflexive, being visible to yourself too.
For sure.
So, yeah, man, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I see you.
Appreciate in good company and creating this space, It's not often you get to move to another part of the world and think and talk about yourself. So
right. No, this has been good. It's been
I see you as well, with the writing and the questions and the work you're doing in Houston. So
man, much love. Appreciate
Book with the Bruh.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, shout out to the book club.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Booked with the Bruhs.
Black bourgeoisie, we get into it. It's all about struggle and contradiction.
Thank you.